We are looking at the Fireboard Spark. This is their first instant read thermometer. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know that I've always been a big fan of their products. I have to admit, when this was first announced, I wasn't sure that I was going to buy one because I have always been a fan of Thermoworks instant read thermometer, and I have a few of them and they work perfectly fine. So this really isn't something that I needed, but you know, there have been some firmware updates that have added even more functionality to the Fireboard Spark that caused me to go ahead and take the leap. So I'm going to go ahead and unbox this. I haven't used it yet. We're going to go over some of the features. I'll tell you why I decided to pick this up. In a nutshell, Fireboard is really trying to make what I would consider to be a smart instant read thermometer that does a few additional things that the other instant read thermometers on the market don't. Hey BBQ family, before we continue with the video, I'd like you to do me a favor and consider doing two things. One, go to backyardsmokemaster.com and sign up to receive email from me. This will ensure that you don't miss any new videos when I drop them. And two, I'm starting a new private barbecue community of like-minded individuals who basically want to share information, share recipes, and talk about all things that we love barbecue. Go to barbecuestarterclub.com and consider signing up. I'd love to have you. Now back to the video. All right guys, so I decided to pause the video because I was surprised by how heavy the Spark is. It's considerably heavier than what I expected. Not that it's important, but I was just kind of curious because I do also have my Inkbird and my Thermopen 1. I'm pretty sure that the Inkbird, you know, not that the weight of these things really matters, but I'm guessing the Inkbird is probably the lightest. It is 2.65 ounces. The Thermopen 1, 4.13 ounces, about twice as heavy. And the Spark is 5.26 ounces. So a little bit heavier than the Thermopen 1. And then just to do just like a side-by-side comparison. So they're all about the same length. The Thermopen 1 is slightly shorter than the Spark and the Inkbird. Now, both the Inkbird and the Fireboard Spark have connectivity. So the Inkbird has a port and you can plug it in for charging. I'm not quite sure yet what the connectivity for the Spark is, if it's more than charging, if there's something else. So we're going to find out. And there's no charging, no connectivity with the Thermopen 1. Basically it just has a replaceable battery, the type that you might find like in a watch or a calculator, and these last a pretty good amount of time as well. Let's talk about some of the key features. According to the website, it says that a single charge should give you over 12 months of normal use. The first thing I think about when I hear normal use is how exactly is that defined? And here it says normal use includes instant read probe use and periodic long cooks using the external probe port. You take that with a grain of salt. What's normal use for one person may be completely different for the other. But let's talk about that external port feature. Now this is the feature that kind of caught my eye, and I honestly wasn't sure how I felt about it. So here on the website it says, leave-in temperature probe input for long cooking sessions. The built-in external probe port allows use of any Fireboard thermistor probe for long-term temperature tracking. Visualize long cooks with beautiful charting data via Fireboard clouds. So in other words, I could take a probe that I might be using with my Fireboard drive, for example, and I could take that probe, which I like to use as a leave-in thermometer to monitor my cooks. Especially like to use it for monitoring the ambient temperature inside of the cooker. I could take that probe and plug it into the Spark. And I have to be honest, when I first heard about that feature, I just wasn't sure how useful that would be, and I'm still not completely convinced. So the concept basically of taking my instant read thermometer, plugging it into the port, and then leaving it next to my cooker like I would my Fireboard drive, that doesn't really appeal to me. The Spark is IP66 waterproof rated. You can wash it, but on the website it says not safe for submersion or dishwashers, so keep that in mind. I use probe wipes to clean my thermometer probes. We've also got built-in magnets for device storage. Powerful magnets keep the Spark within arm's reach, easily stow on the refrigerator or use in sync mode to watch your temperature. So actually, let's get to that part. The sync mode, this is really the reason why I wanted to buy the Spark. Transform Fireboard Spark into a display for all your other Fireboard devices. So in other words, whereas you can already use your phone to monitor temperatures on your Fireboard drive, it makes the Spark like an always on display that will show you your various temperatures that you might have going on with your Fireboard drive. Now, this is the feature that caught my eye, and I believe the latest firmware update allows you to be able to see multiple temperature readings on the screen. So this is what I'm looking forward to testing out to see how well this feature works. And again, this is the reason why I wanted the Spark. I already have other instant read thermometers that get the job done. I do use my Fireboard a lot to monitor the ambient temperature inside of my cookers, and being able to just at a glance look over and see it on this screen without having to get my phone, navigate to the app. This is the feature that I'm most excited about. So I'm going to go through the process here and get this set up. Not sure if I need to charge it, if it already comes with a charge or not. Hopefully we can get this up and running, because I do have some food going right now, smoking a couple of racks of ribs. So it would be nice to be able to put it in action right here, right now. The guide says all you have to do is lift the probe and it should work. So it's showing me that it's 80 degrees outside. I will say I think that the screen looks like it's gonna pick up a lot of fingerprints, but this is a really nice looking thermometer. I'm probably just really accustomed to the Thermopen look, because I have like 3 or 4 Thermopens, and they all kind of look the same, a little bit on the plain side, but this is a sharp looking thermometer. Let's move on to the next phase, because really, again, what really pushed me over the edge was the thought of being able to use this as a remote display showing all of my other probes that I have going with the Fireboards. I don't know if you guys can read that, but currently I am smoking using my Hunsaker. So right now it's showing me 307 and the Hunsaker. I also had a probe that I just left outside of my cooker just to monitor the ambient temperature outside. It's giving me 87 degrees over there by my cooker. 80 degrees where I'm standing right now. So I'm probably about 15 feet away from my drum smoker, so I can see why it would be a few degrees warmer over there. I want to see if this is easy to connect. The quick user guide just kind of said that it's all intuitive. So I click on settings in the app. I'm going to click add Fireboard and see what happens. And look here, it says select a nearby Fireboard. So I'm going to click that, and I think that did it. So that was indeed pretty intuitive, connecting the Spark to the app. Let's see, what do we have to do in order to be able to see the temperatures that are happening on my other Fireboard? I admit that I did not really look at that quick start guide. I'm sure there's probably something really simple that I'm overlooking. I'm gonna put this down and take another look. You know what, guys? I was pressing the wrong button. Leave it to me to kind of mess it up. The multifunction button is the smaller button right here, and then what I was pressing on is actually the USB-C port, as well as the port for, again, adding a probe. So that's on that end. The other end is where the multifunction button is. So this was indeed very easy. So basically, once you go into settings, you click on the device that's associated with your Spark, which is this one right here. And then basically there was a manage Wi-Fi, so I was able to connect to my Wi-Fi. And it's just like the other Fireboard devices. Came up really quickly and easily under advanced settings. This is where you can go to basically make sure your sync mode is turned on. You can tell it to show decimal or not. I think I like to have the decimal showing. So basically, it's just the app. The app is going to pick up your Spark, and then here, as I'm monitoring temperatures inside of my cooker, you see Spark is up there, up at the top. It says Spark. Just as a side note, I finished my cook, so I shut everything down. So that's why my Hunsaker is dropping rapidly, but this is the feature that I wanted. So over here, 82.4 degrees, that's the temperature outside. I don't know if you can see that on my phone, but it matches. They both say 82.6, 82.5 for the ambient temperature outside. And then it's showing the temperature for my Hunsaker. So it's a little bit off. The Spark is like maybe a fraction of a second, or maybe a full second behind what's showing on my phone. This is it, guys. This is the Fireboard Spark. Is this a must-have product? For me, no. If you're someone like me who already has instant read thermometers, which again is something that I highly recommend. Everyone who is cooking should have at least one instant read thermometer. Wasn't really convinced that I needed the Fireboard Spark, but this feature right here, because I do use my Fireboard drive on just about every cook to monitor temperatures, this upped the ante for me and made this become something that I did want to go ahead and pick up. And again, it's a nice looking thermometer. I'm a big Fireboard fan, and so far I like what I see. This does not disappoint. So I think this will probably be my most used instant read thermometer. Hopefully this video was helpful. Feel free to leave comments Love to hear from you. This is Kenyatta Robinson. Thanks for joining me on the Backyard Smokemaster Barbecue channel. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.